Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah. Wassalatu wassalamu ala Rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa man wala. Welcome everybody to the Safina Society Nothing But Facts live stream, coming to you from the third story of the La Cocina Soup Kitchen, which you could also pitch in and be part of this great, amazing endeavor, which we're going to have pretty much the most beautiful, most wonderful soup kitchen experience that people are going to have. By 2030, inshallah, it's going to be having 7 dinners a week, every single day. And they're going to be restaurant-style dinners. It's not going to be take the food and go. No, it's going to be, well, we may have some of that for people who want to leave, but we will have sit-down, restaurant-style soup kitchen. And I don't think anyone's ever seen anything like this. I actually saw something like this in Italy. There's an Italian chef out there who made it big, did everything he could with his life in the world of being a chef. And he decided now to do something different. He said, regular people, poor people, and regular people, they can't eat my food, because his restaurant's one of these insane restaurants where 6 months it's booked for 6 months and nobody can afford to go if you're not insanely rich. So he decided to do a free restaurant where he actually buys, let's say, misfits, misfit vegetables, which is like a vegetable with like a little dot on it that one of these Michelin star restaurants can't purchase because they have to cut up the tomato and it's got to be all perfect. Okay. So he buys these misfits, he gets them for free, and he keeps his costs down, but it's all charity, and everyone just eats for free. So I the first saw it there, and I said, we're going to do this here. And our building, if you see it, you feel like, whoa, what is this? Andalus? The whole row of homes is like disaster, 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 ugly, ugly, ugly. And then it's us, which our house was ugly. It was completely, I was like depressed coming in here. Me and Ryan, it used to just be me and Ryan. I was depressed. Man, Ryan, you depressed? I'm depressed when I step foot in this place. I don't shayateen used to live here or what? Then we started to put Quran, call the adhan, pray, and then all that stuff lifted. Then we had our first launch good. We got 100K. We redid the whole outside. It's such an amazing, I've never seen a revamp like this. From complete depressing dump to like inspiring, you want to be here 24/7. And that was on the outside. Soon, inshallah, the plan is within a few years, we're going to help the tenant that lives downstairs because I like him. I like him. He likes us, and I like him. The other ones who live here, no, I'm going to tell them to leave, and that's it. Neither do I like them, nor do they like me. I mean, we're just mutual. But I always look at the body language of people. I always look at, like, common sense. Like, you see that there's a soup kitchen. You don't talk. You just walk right in and walk right out. All right, so there's no relationship. So I'm going to ask them to leave, actually. You know what? I decided right now. I'm asking them to leave. No, leave. Because then we can revamp that place upstairs. We'll revamp it for maybe 10K, 15K, and house hack it and earn 4 times the rent. No, they're leaving. No, they're gone. They are, just getting me to talk about it and think about it has bothered me. How do you walk every day, you just up and down and walk without even saying hello? Who raised you? Who are you in the first place? Okay. Secondly, I know that they're subletting without telling us. So they're really getting on my nerves. And no, they're gone. Simple as that. Simple as that. We'll send the message right now. Decision has been made. Hey, Fuzz, pick a deadline and tell the tenant upstairs that we're vacating. And we'll be generous about it. Say 3 months. She'll come back and say another number, and we'll meet somewhere. All right? Tell her upstairs. Ask her when her home purchase is going to be done, and let's get this thing going, because we're going to house hack that. We're going to spend 15K revamping, and we're going to put tenants up there. Like 4 guys paying the same rent that she's paying. Yeah, this is a great location. No. You're going to have adab or you're going to be gone. That's it. You know what? You know that if they were just nice, had basic adab, none of this would happen. Like the guy downstairs. You know, the guy downstairs we're not going to tell him to leave. He's so nice to us, right? When it's time, we're going to tell him we are upgrading your way of living. We're going to upgrade you. I will even give him money. I'll pay the down payment for his next apartment. And we'll make sure that he is fully happy and satisfied with the move. Not these. No, we're getting a deadline. That's it. Who got me into this rant? Now, I'm saying that we're streaming from the third story of the soup kitchen, 1 mile down from the Bobwood Medical Center and University Hospital, and it's downpouring all day. It's a downpour all day, and there's something romantic about the morning downpour when you come outside and of your house very early after Fajr, and it's like downpouring. There's something nice about it. I always look at it like this. If Allah created it, you got to find what's nice about it. You can't say, I hate the rain, I love the sun. If Allah created it, there's something good about it. So you got to find what's good about it. Today's first topic and first session of the day, or first segment of the day, the cracks in the Trump-Netanyahu ties. It's not only this. This is one wave after another, and it started with a few podcasters who are willing to go out on a limb. People like Theo Vaughn, comedian Dave Smith. You saw Dave Smith debated this guy Murray, who also is not an expert, but claims to be an expert because he went there. Well, that means that there are 300 million experts on the U.S. then, right? There's 330 million people living in the U.S. So going somewhere and doing a little study, it doesn't make you an expert. But, you know, I think his name is Dave Murray, right? Douglas Murray. Wait, what's his name?
Bill Maher?
No, Douglas Murray. Dave Murray? Look him up. He had a debate with Dave Smith on the Joe Rogan Experience. And you know how he killed himself? Yeah, Douglas Murray. You know how he killed himself? He went on and on and on about the importance of expertise and how nobody's qualified except him and blah, blah, blah. Like, you literally just don't know how to debate because you turned everyone off. You're talking this elite snobbery. But nonetheless, on top of that, you're not one of them. You're not an expert. He's not an expert. Look up his background very quick. Douglas Murray. Look up his background. Cultural critic, journalist. All right. So how is he an expert in this subject? No, he's just another guy who read a lot of newspapers, and he went there, and he obviously has a personal reason to go to support Israel. So he's not exactly in himself an expert, the expert that he makes himself out to be. But it started with these people. And then Candace Owens, of course, was one of them. Now, recently I said, oh, Candace Owens stuff is great. And a couple people were like, what? How could you say that? Because her take on race after the George Floyd issue was problematic. So I never really followed her at that point when she was, I don't know where. This was even before she went to the Daily Wire. Then she basically got on the bad side of the Ahud. And now she's basically on her own, essentially. But after October 7th, that's when I started paying attention to her. And her stuff, she's going full force against them. So it starts with the podcasters. Then it moves up now to the podcasters who are in the Daily Wire, which are, this is Ben Shapiro's baby, right? This is his thing. So Matt Walsh now, who does Ben Shapiro have? When he lost Candace, by the way, Candace Owens' channel is trouncing Ben Shapiro's channel. And she's all by herself. And Shapiro's like supposedly got a team, and he's going to open a Daily Wire TV and all that stuff and have his own streaming platform. But Matt Walsh was his other guy. Matt Walsh himself, he's playing a game. He's towing a very thin line. He literally has supplied people with a talking point. But then he sort of got himself out. I'll explain. Matt Walsh basically said that if a country can't survive on its own, it shouldn't exist. If a country needs another country's finances to exist, to survive, then that country shouldn't exist. So clearly Tucker Carlson says, well, Israel can't survive without America. Like, put two and two together. He says, no, I think it can survive without America. It can survive without it. So you see this little game he played? He put it out. He put the talking point out there for everyone, which maybe he's the first person to put it that concisely. But then he made bara'ah from it by saying, I think Israel can exist by itself, which we all know is it can't. The whole world knows that Israel cannot exist without the United States. And Murray is complaining that Israel is not getting enough sympathy in the world. Right? You know what this all reminds me of? That the Quran is true. It proves the Quran true. It displays a Quranic statement in which Allah Ta'ala says in Surah Ali Imran, verse 112, ضُرِبَتْ عَلَيْهِمُ الذِّلَّةِ. They're always struck with disgrace. They're always trying to be victims. They're always madhlul. They're always, I need sympathy. Okay? أَيْنَمَا ثُقِفُوا. Wherever they go, need sympathy. Okay? Why are you asking for people to sympathize with Israel? So you're saying Israel hasn't gotten enough world sympathy throughout the world. Why do you need sympathy? You're a country. Just go and live. No one cares about sympathizing with Norway, for example. Greece went through an economic calamity. Iceland went through an economic calamity. All right, it's news. We keep scrolling. Why do you need sympathy? If you are a nation that stands up on your own, go on and keep living when that's it. Why do you care about us? Why do you care about anybody else? ضُرِبَتْ عَلَيْهِمُ الذِّلَّةُ أَيْنَمَا ثُقِفُوا. And they will not rise up إِلَّا بِحَبْلٍ مِّنَ اللَّهِ وَحَبْلٍ مِّنَ النَّاسِ. This is an example that there's something to be filled in the verse. Right? They will be stricken with disgrace wherever they go, except by a rope from God or a rope from people. It means they will never be established except by a rope from God, prophets, or Sharia. Okay? The Sharia. So Sharia allows Jews to live in their land. You just pay a little jizya. It's far less than you would pay in taxes in the United States. You pay a jizya, stay out of politics, don't cause trouble. You guys go live over there, okay? And you can mix with the Islamic community, but if you want to live by yourself, you can live by yourself. And they tended to want to live by themselves. All throughout Europe, the Hasidic Jews, the Orthodox Jews, this exactly was their mode of operation. Let's just live by ourselves. We want to live by themselves. They're not ghettoized. You want to live like that. That's up to you. No problem. In Islam, you want to go live in your own little town? Go live in your own little town and have the Rebbes run the town. What do we care? Just stay out of everyone's business. Don't get involved. And don't try to lend money to us on riba and therefore suck the whole what you did to Europe. Anyway, that's all in the past. أَيْنَمَا ثُقِفُوا إِلَّا بِحَبْلٍ مِّنَ اللَّهِ. So that's حَبْلٍ مِّنَ اللَّهِ. Either Allah Ta'ala gives them a great prophet who rectifies them and elevates them, like David and Solomon, or in the Sharia, if the verse is talking only about now, in the Sharia, then you get the dhimma status, the dhimmi, your dhimmis. Live here without anyone bothering you, as long as you behave. وَحَبْلٍ مِّنَ النَّاسِ. But they could also survive by another way. The people give them a rope. Some other group of people, like the Americans or the British, who established the state of Israel for them. And even then, the British were annoyed as heck by them. And they blew up the King David Hotel, and that's where the British was running the place from. Now they're here, and the United States has given these people so much money. And they haven't they've went and done all the wars that the U.S. has asked them to, and hated all the people that the U.S. has asked them to hate. After all that, they're still conniving. And Waltz gets fired for conniving behind Trump's back. And your guy, the guy who basically is so easy to I want to say manipulate, but to deal with. All right, you got a lot of money. Allow him to, his agenda is to have peace in the world so that we could do tijara, we could do business, right? That's essentially it's like predictable, and you screwed that relationship up. Now Ben Shapiro is having a complete meltdown. It's just it's beautiful to watch. If I'm get home and I'm taking a break, I want to watch Ben Shapiro having a meltdown, right? Because he's completely like his world. At the election time, Trump knew you need that money. Let's not have this fight right now with Israel. And he went with the flow, right? Full on Zionist, full 100%, no discussion on it. Now it seems that you guys are annoying and things are turning around. And he's making a turn. And this whole tour to Turkey, to Syria's leader, you know what he said about Syria's leader? I can't believe this quote. Look at this quote on Syria's leader. He says about Ahmad al-Shara. He said, a young, attractive guy with good fighting skills. Guy was on the one-time terror list, and this guy says he's got good fighting skills. He met with Erdogan. Erdogan releases a statement saying that we met President of the United States, Mr. Trump, Crown Prince Saudi Arabia, Mohammed bin Salman, and President of Syria, Ahmad al-Shara. Hopefully soon we'll see the reflection of this meeting. Following our phone conversation last week, I want to thank President Trump for announcing he's going to lift sanctions against Syria. I count on support of my friend Trump in an effort to end the humanitarian tragedy. He is way off the Zionist playbook. He's doing this trip, in my opinion, on purpose to tell Israel, to tell Netanyahu, you're not giving me orders. Now he's going, where's he going? The Emirates. Then he went to Saudi Arabia, full standing ovation. Okay. Look what else Allah says about this. Not illa bihablim min Allah wa hablim min an-nas. They need a nation to prop them up. Israel cannot exist without the US dollar and US aid. And people are looking around like common sense. You keep saying America first, America first. Let's build America. Let's take care of America. Let's be all patriotic. Okay, well, look at half the nation is just like in complete poverty. No, you go into the Rust Belt and it's just depression. And people think, you know what? 5% of the money given to Israel, if it was given here, we'd have fixed our city. 5% of that federal funding. It would have fixed. You can't even drink water in you cannot even drink the water, even with filters. وَبَاءُوا بِغَضَبٍ مِّنَ اللَّهِ. And they stay with the anger of God on them. وَضُرِبَتْ. Why? Anger of God? Just because of your identity? No, because of your actions. وَضُرِبَتْ عَلَيْهِمُ الْمَسْكَنَةِ. They have been branded with victimization. Listen to this. It's exact, deliberate, or explicit, perfect description. You have been branded with victim. You are always the victim. Al-maskana. This is maskana. You know that you should never, ever, even if you are a victim, speak like a victim, talk like a victim, because you can't win. You can't win. Never, even if you get victimized, you should ask yourself, why did I get victimized? If a group of guys comes, beat you up, take your wallet, why did I walk in the street alone? Why didn't I learn jujitsu? Why didn't I have a permit and carry? All that stuff, right? We, as Muslims, we always blame ourselves. We have sympathy with others, but we don't have sympathy with maskana. Someone who's always acting the victim, even if he's a victim. Pick yourself up. Yes, we should have sympathy with the victim, and we should help them, but we don't encourage the victim mentality. Okay. ذلك بأنهم كانوا يكفرون بآيات الله ويقتلون الأنبياء بغير حق. All of this is punishment for actions, not because of who you are, for your actions. Curse God, reject God, kill prophets, disobey God, always aggressing, always violating. You're bad people. I'm saying these people that the Quran is talking about, these specific people. And Allah tells us elsewhere, لَيْسُوا سَوَاء, they're not all the same. Glenn Greenwald, for example, you should watch his stuff. Next ayah, Allah says, لَيْسُوا سَوَاء. You don't blanket all Jews. No, laysu sawa. He's saying a lot of them are like this. There's a rabbi. What is the rabbi? Hey, Alif, take this call and take a message for me, please. See what they need. Just tell them I'm doing a live stream about. Actually, don't tell what I'm talking about. People are asking about Omar is here, but we're training. We're training another young buck by the name of Alif. Yeah, tell them what do they want? Do they need me to pick him up or something?
What do you need from him exactly?
I'll always be here. I'll always be here.
Yeah, Omar, inshallah, will get one of these fake jobs. You know, the IT job that's... You know the IT guys, you really wonder if he works or not. Inshallah, you get one of those jobs. What do they want, Alif?
Something about your phone. Missing a phone.
Oh, my dad left his phone there?
Maybe. That's fine.
Probably, okay. So I'll have to go there and get it. ليسوا سواء من أهل الكتاب أمة قائمة يتلون آيات الله آناء الليل وهم يسجدون. They're not all the same. In the past, this did not apply to all Bani Israel. Some of them were righteous believers. And today, there are some people, as the Quran says, if you entrust him with a mountain of gold, you can trust him. If you entrust him with far less than that, you can't trust him. Okay? So, this saying about the Bani Israel applied in the past, and Allah giving us exception. And today there are exceptions. I think Glenn Greenwald, in terms of his take on Zionism, on the liberal Jew side, he's one of them. Great take, honest take. And on the other side, it's Rabbi Yaakov Shapiro. You know what he said? He said, you Zionists, just start eating pork because you're not Jews. You're not real Jews. Just eat pork. That's what his thing says. That's what his speech has been entitled. Look it up. Yaakov Shapiro? Yaqub, basically. Yaakov is Yaqub, essentially.
He's Hasidic, like Hasidic.
Hasidic. Yaqub Sabr. If you translate the name, it's Yaqub Sabr. If Arabized it, Yaqub Sabr. But in their language, it would be Yaakov Shapiro. Okay. And he gave a speech. He said, you are not Jews. You are worshippers of a new golden calf, which is the nation state. You were worshippers of a European invention, which is the nation state. His whole argument against the Zionists is that you are not Jews anymore. You're not believers. You're worshiping the new golden calf, which is the nation state. Because the founder had a severe inferiority complex to the Europeans. His whole mind is, how can we be Europeans? And that we're talking now 1900s. So what is Europe based on at that point? Nationalism. How can we nationalize Judaism? How could we make Judaism a secular national religion? So their founder essentially said, you know what, Israel, that's our nation state. Okay? Let's basically worship that and do everything for that cause. There is no religion with these people except that. And then you have this middle group, which is going to kill them. They're trying to be religious, but also nation state, and that's led by Ben Gvir and all these people. Ben Gvir and all these guys, they're the ones who are going to put a wedge between Israel and the West, permanent wedge, because if we were back in the 90s and Israel acted up like this and just stole land and killed a bunch of people, back in the day, it wasn't after 1948, between 48 and now, it was like they did terrible things, but nothing close to this. They'll maybe add a little bit of land and kill people, but what would happen? The U.S., the American Zionists would say, okay, it's time to cool it down. Put in a liberal government. Then he puts in a liberal government who has peace talks. Talks. And everyone comes down, everyone forgets about it, and Israel looks like the good guy. That option is no longer available because of the right wing. The right wings in Israel, the right wingers are so nuts, they're so crazy, and they have I think they've destroyed the liberal side. So I don't think that option's available anymore. And these guys, the liberal Zionists, they're like, okay, we just want a nation just like the Europeans and Americans. We just want a nation, right? Our own nation as Jews. But the right-wing side, they're like religious about it. They're zealous about it. And they apply the laws of the Torah, and they think that these liberals are basically not real Jews. They're takfiri, basically. And they could care less about the world. And they're the ones who are going to ruin it. Because in the past, if this was the 90s, this thing would have been cooled off real quick. All right, push Netanyahu out, put in another election, and put in a nice liberal Zionist, a liberal type of government to calm things down, have talks, and look like the good guy. These right-wing people, they don't know how to do that. They could care less about that. Let's read this article here. President Trump sets out in the Middle East, and he's already there. His decision, no. Where did he go? Saudi Arabia, Turkey, Qatar, Emirates. What's missing? Hey, you literally flew over your buddy, right? Hey, listen, if you give billions of dollars to somebody, shouldn't you stop by? Shouldn't that guy meet you? Okay, don't stop by. You're a busy guy. Hey, I pay you billions of dollars. Meet me in Qatar. Or meet me in the Emirates. He went to Qatar. Meet me in Qatar. Meet me in the Emirates. Meet me in Saudi. Meet me in Turkey. No meeting between Trump and Netanyahu. So meet me somewhere. If you're so busy, okay, fine. Take a hop and a skip to whatever country, right, and meet. The profound extent of their schism has been laid bare for the world to see. This is Newsweek. Okay. The White House is having diplomatic talks with Iran. Direct meetings with Hamas. H group, I'm sorry to say. I guess you can't say that now. Okay. And direct talks with the Houthis. Now, this thing has reached such a level, this tide turning on Israel, that Marjorie Taylor Greene, one of the worst, basically, people that in the whole world of politics, right? She's one of the worst. She herself has a clip saying, why do we hate whoever Israel tells us to hate? And she's like, I've never seen a Houthi in my life. Why do I care about Houthis when I represent Georgia, right? Houthis aren't coming near Georgia. They haven't waged war on the United States. Why do we care so much? Why are we waging war because another nation wants us to wage war? When someone like her is saying that, you know that it's spread fully across MAGA right now. Because she's one of the crazies who's at the forefront of MAGA. Like when MAGA wants to push an agenda, but they want to test it out first before they get a reaction. The polite type like Marco Rubio, he's last. He waits until everybody to see what everyone else says. Right? You got the crazies, they're at the forefront. And they can say what they want because we already called them crazy. So it doesn't make a difference to them. Right? So you always have, in any group, you have that spectrum. The people who don't care about, and they push the envelope. And they push the envelope and see what happens. Their credibility is already shot. They could care less. Then you have the people who have to wait to see, they want to try to get the polite society on their side. That's like Marco Rubio. And this guy is a hardcore Zionist. I don't know what he thinks. Trump's surrounded by neocons and Zionists, so I don't know what they think about what's happening here. But Trump goes and he says, listen, Houthis, stop bombing our stuff. I don't care less what you do with Israel, right? Stop bombing our stuff. And you noticed he bombed the Houthis first for a month. If you ask me, that was just that was the beginning of their talks. Bomb them, show you how much pain I can inflict on you. Then when we have talks, they'll accept anything. And they accepted the deal. They loved the deal. Leave American stuff alone. I don't care what you do with Israel. Is that not an insult to supposedly your best ally? He then increased tariffs on Israel, another step in this puzzle that you're putting together that's painting a clear picture now. Raised tariffs on Israel. And Shapiro complains about that. Why are you complaining? Didn't you get billions of dollars? So you can't give some back in a tariff to U.S. companies? And this is according to Shalom Lipner. Man, just tell us your... Former advisor to 7 consecutive Israeli prime ministers, including Netanyahu. So he's calling it a profound schism. All right? Yehud bin Yehuda, he should just call himself at that point, when your name is Shalom Lipner. Trump and Netanyahu are exasperated with each other, each feeling that their concerns and objectives are underappreciated by the other. They're never happy. They are never happy. They have no concept of, that's enough. Thanks for the help. We'll help you another day. No concept. It has to be take. That's all it is. Taking. Lipner is now a senior fellow at the Atlantic Council's Snowcroft Middle East Security Initiative. You know, these think tanks are always so suspicious. Both of them have legitimate arguments to make, but they seem to be talking past each other. For Trump, a president who often boasts about holding the cards in high-stakes negotiations, most famously during a heated encounter with the Ukrainian President Zelensky, he said that, Lipner felt the U.S. leader once again appears to have the necessary leverage to get his way. And all this is basically getting Netanyahu to do what he wants. He's going to go show how much friendship he has in the Middle East. I'll make deals with Iran. I'll make deals with Syria. I'll make deals with Saudi. I'll be friends with all those people. If you don't want to act right, for no problem. I'll be friends with all these guys. All to inflict pain on him, so that in a few months, probably, when the pain is enough, Netanyahu will come and behave. But that's what he thinks. I actually think these guys are crazed lunatics, but we'll see. The nature of that bilateral, I think Netanyahu and all these guys, they're lunatics. They're not with reality the way we are. They don't see the world the way we see the world. But we'll see. The nature of that bilateral relationship, with Israel still relying upon the military, diplomatic, and economic assistance of the United States, is such that the prime minister will have little alternative but to fall in line. That's what basically Lipner is saying. And that's all this is going on. And even leaking the idea that we'll recognize a Palestinian state. Just leaking that idea. I'm even surprised you say such a thing, you get shot. If you're a high profile in this world, in the political world. White House National Security Council spokesperson James Hewitt defended Trump's record on Israel and said the president remained committed to the regional goals. Israel has had no better friend in its history than Trump. We'll continue to work together, blah, blah, blah. All right, he's repeatedly stated that in his first and second terms that he's committed to ensuring Iran never has a nuclear weapon. The relationship between the current American administration and the Israeli government, headed by Trump and Netanyahu, is very close. It's very good. They're trying to calm things down. Okay. Of course, by the way, it's not that we will find ourselves thinking in different ways about solutions in the Middle East, but we're just talking. And then recently somebody said they wish they had Biden back in office, because Biden basically just did whatever he was told to do. Daniel Kurtzer, who previously served as U.S. ambassador to Egypt and under Israel under Clinton and W. Bush, he dismissed reports that Trump cut ties with Netanyahu. No serious schism between them yet, he says. Some of these people are in denial. Several U.S. actions in recent days, says the diplomat, right, may indicate a rift between Trump and Netanyahu. You know, they're in denial. Can't believe what they're seeing around them. I don't even care much about the president, but what I care most about is a sentiment on the ground from right-wing people. And when you have people saying this stuff, that means they've been saying it for months and months behind closed doors, and they realize I can actually say it now, openly. And it's that which hopefully will trickle up eventually. Trump is annoyed that Netanyahu restarted the war in Gaza. He's annoyed that Waltz was negotiating with and talking to Netanyahu secretly. So he fired that guy. And America First, the America First policies are actually, people are thinking about it. Like, what does it mean to be America First? Why is all this money going out the window? And you have Doge and Elon Musk slicing and cutting amounts of money that are like trivial in comparison. So people are thinking about that. Trump went up in the 100-day speech and he read a list of things. Like, we're giving money to all these different, and some of the amounts were like 2 million. You say, okay, that's a lot. 100,000. Then at some of them point, he was like, $27,000 is going to this ridiculous cause, right? To create transgender people in Africa. But $27,000, they get that every second. It's just getting that every more than that per second. Who cares about $27,000? You're giving billions of dollars in comparison. That's what you should cut. Completely cut. This is great to watch. If he is actually shifting on Israel, his mindset may be reflective of broader trends taking place nationwide. That's what I'm saying. Okay? Trump, he wants to be popular, like every politician. He sees what people are saying. You can't keep being pro-Israel when your whole MAGA base is done with this. They're listening to Theo Vaughn. They listen to other, who else besides him? Joe Rogan. They listen to Dave Smith. Those are the people they listen to every day. You can't be so pro-Israel when you're going to lose your whole base. Even if it's not going for president again. Well, he can actually probably, but he can go again. And listen, if he's going to if he's going to cut ties with Israel, it's something Biden could have never done. Heck, maybe it would be good to have him a third term. Then again, we do have a constitution, so it's nice that the law of the land is followed. Otherwise, you set a precedent for other things, which is going to be out of control. And other things he's out of control with. But this thing so far is good. But I don't know how far it's going to go. We'll see. This has just been like, it reached a boiling point. But the boiling point is being supplied by the base. It's totally being supplied by the base. A Pew Research survey last month showed that unfavorable views of Israel in the U.S. has risen past the 50% mark for the first time, from 42% to 53%. For Democrats, it's 69%. It was at 53 before October 7th. It's now at 69%. But for Republicans, it jumped 10 percentage points from 27 to 37%. Ben Shapiro, of course, with his meltdown, it is a big mistake, he says, for Trump to keep Israel in the dark on major decisions. What? Why would we care about who runs the nation? This is exactly what George Washington warned against. He said we should never be intertwined or have permanent alliance or animosity with any other nation. There should be mutual policy of no surprises. Why? Why would it care for you to be surprised? Go and live on your own. Do your own thing. Over there on your own with your own money and your own dime. This will be very difficult for Netanyahu to face. Internally, in Israel, he's got issues. He's been viewed as victorious on the battlefield, having substantially degraded the capabilities of H Group and H Group 2 from Lebanon, just so that we don't get flagged. And by the way, this what we say here on this live stream is nothing in comparison to what's been said by the other conservative podcasts. You know, if we were ever worried that we say stuff that's, nah, we don't say anything. Limited ceasefire proposals have ignited threats of resignation from key ultra-nationalists like Smotrich, okay, Bezalel Smotrich, Bezalel, right? And that's what I said earlier when I said that back in the 90s, this would have been calmed down easily. Okay, let's move to another government, a liberal government, to make us look good. They can't do it anymore. They're locked in with these Ben-Gvir and Smotrich. Open clashes have erupted at the highest level of Israeli government, pitting Netanyahu against his own attorney general and chief of the Shin Bet intelligence service, as well as between Ben-Gvir and Israel's chief of police. On the streets, a growing number of Israelis, including the families of hostages held by Hamas, are calling for the government to do more to release their loved ones, even if it means ending the war. Against this backdrop, Ben Shapiro argued that Netanyahu cannot challenge Trump the way he did Obama and Biden by going to Congress or the opposition party to build pressure, so his options to push back are limited. But he is also constrained by his far-right coalition partners. This is what I said. The far-right people, the more they get involved, the less support Israel will have from America, because they're intolerable and they're lunatics. They're literally mentally unwell. The way they view the world has rendered their behavior to be completely unacceptable to any human being on the earth. They're anti-human, these types. All they could see is the worship of Israel and themselves as a tribe. The only thing that will change is dynamic. You say, the far-right coalition parties would never allow Netanyahu to end the war or to make any gesture to the Palestinians that could help advance Israeli-Saudi normalization. See, what Trump wants them to do is, let's live in peace so we can all make trade. That's essentially what he wants. That's the summary of Trump's policy. Could you all just stop all this? Because people don't want to spend money and trade and make have trade between all of us, Israel, Saudi, Emirates, all this, and get some of this oil money, as long as we have war going on. But these far right, they will never allow it. The only thing that will change this dynamic is an Israeli election, which could bring about a new prime minister, a new coalition with centrist power. This is exactly what I said, right? Back in the old days, that's what they would have done. Let's put in a liberal government to calm down, shake some hands, take some pictures, have a peace meeting, and everything can calm down, right? And later on, another 10 years, we can push the agenda even more. But the beauty of it all is the rise of the far right, Ben-Gvir and Smotrich. As much as we hate them, they're like, but for the big picture, they're the destruction of Israel. Because they're going to keep biting at the American hand. They don't care for America. They want to suck it all dry. This is the hand that feeds you. Lipner noted political alignments in both the U.S. and Israel have dealt Netanyahu a tough hand. Trump's uncontested grip on the levers of American power have constricted the maneuverability of the prime minister, who has previously tried, often successfully, to enlist sympathetic voices in the administration, Congress, and among the public to plead liberal Israel's case. Lipner said, Netanyahu's domestic wiggle room has been neutralized similarly by a hardline coalition in his own country, who have uncompromising positions, offer very little latitude to meet Trump's expectations. Trump can't deal with that. Trump wants to deal with a practical person who wants to make some money. That's the type of person he can deal with. He probably is like, it's dealing with Saudi and the Emirates and Erdogan. It's probably much easier than deal with these nut jobs. Even for Netanyahu, who has become Israel's longest-serving premier over the course of 3 consecutive terms, Through unmatched political prowess, the situation presents a formidable set of challenges. Shira Efron, Director of Research at the Israel Policy Forum, and a special advisor to the Israeli Defense Ministry, felt it would be hard to find a path towards a grand bargain that include Israeli-Palestinian peace and Israeli-Saudi normalization. See, I've read somewhere else from a professor from Columbia by the name of Sachs. He said that his inside information states that what Trump actually wants is he wants cut a strip of land and call it Palestine. Let's all recognize it. Israel, Saudi, U.S. will recognize it. UN will recognize it. This is just today. Columbia professor of politics named something Sachs. You could look him up. He said that's what they want. Recognize that. In exchange, Saudi recognizes Israel. Everyone puts their guns away. Let's just live at peace and make a lot of money. Okay? That's actually what Trump wants. But because inside of Israel, to neutralize the liberals and to gain power, Netanyahu had to make a coalition with the crazies of the Zionists. And they will never allow this. They'll never allow it. Well, Trump has to say, well, whether you like it or not, it's going to happen. That's what he has to do. With the zone of possible cooperation narrow, she argued that the alternative to watch would be as the zone of possible coercion. See? He's got a coercion. Will Trump be interested in forcing Israel to accept a full ceasefire? I'm not sure. Yeah, because these people are so crazy, they'll shoot him. I don't know if we're allowed to say that on YouTube. Can Netanyahu choose the latter course? Yes, but then he loses his coalition. Clearly, Trump's unique style, unexpected behavior, his approval rating in Israel, and after the precedent of Zelensky's treatment, Netanyahu has far less tools to play with to protest Trump. Still, Efron noted that support for Israel remains a major component of U.S. foreign policy. Let's go and read what Sachs said. This guy from Columbia. Let's type it in here. Sachs, Columbia, Jazeera. Because they published his article, of course, in Al Jazeera.
Jeffrey D. Sachs.
I believe that's his name. What did you find it?
He's an economist. I think the article I'm looking for the specific Al Jazeera.
Yeah, it's Al Jazeera. You found it? Let's pull that up. Jeffrey Sachs. Yeah, he's got an article today in Al Jazeera. Okay. Let's read this. He's got an opinion piece. His name is Jeffrey Sachs, and he wrote this with Sybil Fares, or Faddis. And he says, the Arab world stands at a crossroad, a moment of truth that hinges on the region's unified leadership and moral clarity. As President Trump arrives in the Gulf this week, seeking investment and strategic partnership, the opportunity for regional peace and security is overwhelmingly clear. The Arab leaders, he says, should explain clearly to the president that peace and economic development are within reach on one condition: the admission of Palestine to the United Nations as its 194th member state. I mean, just the fact that he's saying that is insane. For this to become a reality, the U.S. must lift its veto on Palestine's entry to the UN. As the president meets with regional partners, he should hear an unambiguous message from his counterparts. All Arab partnerships with U.S. and, of course, with Israel and are contingent upon a lasting peace through a two-state solution. Okay. What is at stake is not simply a diplomatic negotiation. The two-state solution is a practical imperative and a test of international resolve. Listen, if this talk continues, you know what we're gonna have, and I again, I don't think we can say this here, but a false flag. False flag. You know what a false flag is?
Like a false indicator? Is that what you mean? Or no?
A false flag is basically
Maybe a stage of an attack.
stage, let's say, Palestinian attack on.
Oh, like a false white flag, you mean? Like
No, they call it false flag. It's an event that occurs to move nations into a certain policy. So, for example, if they don't like the trajectory Trump is going and getting all friendly with these Arabs and not so friendly with Israel, then like an act of terrorism by Arabs or Muslims to shift it back. But it's done by the Zionists. It'll be done by the Zionists, of course.
They're known for doing this, right?
Yeah. But isn't this like, it's like you see this event and we've been through this so much. It's like, yeah, a false flag is any minute now. Got to be a false flag. Just to get him off of this trajectory that he's on and get him back into the trajectory of just be pro-Zionist and against all the Arabs. He says the U.S. would receive a windfall of investment from the Middle East. Okay.
Who said this?
This is the guy, Jeffrey Sachs from Columbia.
When did he say that?
Today. This is today, his article. He says if Trump was to go in there and say, listen, this is the deal. Palestine gets a state. Everyone has to recognize Israel. And you guys got to invest tons of money in the United States. That's the deal he's going to, Jeffrey Sachs is saying. And then Trump will come down as the guy who made peace in the Middle East, right? And the guy who made America rich. And he made everyone happy. That's what he's saying his legacy would be. The Trump administration, in a significant departure from previous administrations, is moving towards a foreign policy centered on pragmatic deal-making diplomacy. Under his guidance, diplomatic negotiation channels were open with Iran, as both countries enter their fourth round of negotiations in Oman regarding nuclear talks. President Trump has repeatedly stated his willingness to reach consensus. I think we're going to make a deal with Iran, and even willing to meet Iran's president. Similarly, the U.S. reached a ceasefire agreement with the Houthis last week, an encouraging step for both global trade and stability. Another bold diplomatic maneuver is the U.S. direct negotiations with Hamas, which resulted in the release of hostage Eden Alexander, which, by the way, was the biggest scam. Hey, Omar, go back to that other picture with the hoodie was better. Yeah, I like that more. The other picture you just had.
You look like more like sad.
Huh?
You look kind of sad in this.
Listen, Eden Alexander, an American, so-called just an American citizen. He wasn't some innocent American citizen that Hamas picked up. This guy went and signed up for the IDF and was picked up in the battlefield. Like, these lies are insane. That they portray him as simply some innocent U.S. citizen from New Jersey taking a walk in Israel, then get himself kidnapped. The guy signed up for the IDF. I wouldn't even pick him up. If you have a country and your guy goes and gets himself, signs up with the other army, you got yourself kidnapped while fighting for the other army. Let that other nation then go and save you. You're no longer one of us. You got yourself in trouble playing with fire with another nation. In any event, it has become increasingly clear that Trump holds U.S. strategic interest above all else, and that he correctly views peace as his country's overarching strategic interest. This translates into true potential for peace in the Middle East. So this is basically turning the neocon agenda on its head. The neocon agenda refers to constant war in the Middle East, expanding through war. The foes of peace in Israel's extremist government want us to believe that there is an intrinsic, almost innate reason for the war on peace to Palestine to continue. In essentially racist terms, Netanyahu and his ilk are arguing that peace with the Palestinians, based on Palestinian political self-determination and self-rule, is impossible. The result is Israel's brutal destruction and de facto annexation of Gaza and Israel's ongoing war with the West Bank. Palestine and the West Bank. Netanyahu government has two main interests: continuing the war in Gaza and the West Bank to block a Palestinian state, and drawing the U.S. into direct conflict with Iran, both contrary to U.S. interests. The Israeli government is now completely isolated in the international community. Even the UK has shifted its position. Wow, this is wonderful. Minister for the Middle East, Hamish Falconer, that's his name, stated that the government's position is crystal clear. We strongly oppose the expansion of Israel's operations. Any attempt to annex land in Gaza would be unacceptable. The vast majority of UN member states have already demonstrated their support for the two-state solution, most recently by adopting the UN General Assembly resolution. Israel's illegal occupation must end. Palestinian state must be established. This is possible under the mantle of the UN this upcoming June during the high-level international conference on Palestine. Peace has been the general clear-cut position of the League of Arab States, the Organization of Islamic Cooperation, and all regional partners. The Arab Peace Initiative, adopted by the Beirut Summit in 2002, reiterated constantly over the years, demands Israel's withdrawal from the occupied territory and the establishment of a Palestinian state as the basis for diplomatic normalization with Israel. You know, it's like double. Should you be happy if there was a state formed for Palestine? Let me go and steal 100% of your home, and I'll beat you down so bad that the day I give you back the garage, you'll be happy. As Malcolm X said, they pull the knife out of your back and ask you to celebrate. Well, the knife shouldn't have been in my back in the first place. And the truth is, like South Africa, the whole country's theirs. If we're going to talk about principles, if you want to talk like just like surviving the next whatever, just surviving, then you get a Palestinian state. I guess you should be happy. But if that's their perspective, if you want to look at the actual perspective, the whole place is theirs. Just like South Africa. In South Africa, when the Afrikaners, who are basically French, Dutch, and German people who used to live under the British colonies north of South Africa. Now, the British didn't like all white people. They treated them as second-class citizens. These are what have become the Afrikaners. These people then unified themselves, went south, and conquered the Zulu tribes and other tribes in South Africa, and established the nation of South Africa for themselves. These people did not go and then mix into the population over the 100 years that passed. No. There are clear distinction between them and the locals. So when you're going to rectify that situation, you're going to either look at it as one of two things. Either we recognize a statute of limitations on theft, which is that if I was to steal your laptop or your home, there's a statute of limitations. And in Islamic jurisprudence, we differ on it. Some say there is, some say there isn't. I think the Hanafi madhab, it's like 40 years. You can't go and get something back after 40 years or after it changes just from generation to generation. I want to see if there's any madhab in fiqh that says no. If it's stolen, then the great-grandson can take it from the other great-grandson. This is stolen goods. I want to see if there's anything like that in Islamic jurisprudence, because that's just what I would support, because the whites of South Africa, the Afrikaners, they haven't mingled with the South Africans in a way that would say, all right, guys, so much time has passed, we don't know who's who. Nor have there been so many new, legitimately migrated whites for us to say, we don't, oh, maybe you came legitimately, maybe you were the grandson of a colonizer, of a settler colonizer, and yet and now you're all mixed and married. So as I see it, and I could be wrong, but as I see it, that's not the case in South Africa. It's clear that you got the Afrikaners and their descendants as the landowners. They've never mixed. And it's a clear line between the two. If you ask me, in that case, when the United States now, which is the news, the U.S., now that the South Africans want to get their rights back, they want their land back. The U.S. is now accepting Afrikaners as like victims, the whites as victims, and accepting them over into the United States. If I'm the president of South Africa, I say, President Trump, thank you. Take all of them. In fact, we're shipping you all out right now. Because that settler colonialism is very much like Israel. Like in Israel, Palestine, you don't have people who are mixed. It's very clear who's who. And every generation, the clarity remains. Unlike the United States, who have committed a lot of crimes against people, but the people have now become mixed. They have so much immigration that it becomes hard to tell who's who. You can't just see a white person and say, oh, your great-grandfather was a slave owner. And you see an African-American person, your great-grandfather was a slave. No, it's not the case. There's so much mixing and migration of people that you can't say that anymore. But over there, you can. I would say, I'm leaning to say, and I want to find some legal justification just to stay loyal to Islamic jurisprudence. All of you leave if you not get killed. All of you leave. Well, first, you can't tell people to leave. You have to inflict something far harsher to them. Like, we're going to come and kill you. Then leaving becomes appealing. That's how you know these tricks, Elif?
No, I just was thinking when you told the tenants they had to leave.
No, they're...
You can't tell them to leave.
Yeah.
Do something harsher.
I think you're right. I think you know what we're going to do? Maybe we break some pipes. Sorry, there's no water for here the next 3 months. You got to leave. You know what? You're a genius. You are a genius, Elif. You are a genius. I'm texting this right now. Sometimes stuff breaks. It happens. Sorry, there's no water. Pipe broke. We can't afford to pay for it. They can't sue us because can't say that this whole thing is, these aren't like real contracts with these types. And this is brilliant. I'm texting him right now. Okay. If this thing if I feel resistance, oops, pipes will break and no water will be available. I want adab. You have not been polite and not been nice. You know, I was like sort of raised with this. If somebody just treated like this, walks by and you are a tenant in a building, you say hello and you smile. Okay? Oops, pipes will break and we won't have enough money to fix it. They'll have to leave. Okay. President Trump and the Arab leaders have a historic opportunity. It's not just historic opportunity to make peace for the sake of peace. Trump has an ability to make the U.S. and himself tons of money through this. You know that? And they want to break away from, they want an edge that China doesn't have. And it's that oil money. And on top of that, he could be seen for his ego as the peacemaker. So that is Jeffrey Sachs here. So we were saying that the Afrikaners, the South Africa is trying to reclaim some land. Right? Some people are confused. What just happened? Yeah, you didn't see because you missed the part about the tenant. Okay. Elif, this is your idea. This is your idea. And it's a brilliant idea, and it's an idea that many people have done in the past. It's playing dirty tricks, but hey,
scorched earth policy in the military. Right? It's a legit tactic.
It's a tactic, yeah. Okay. Time for Q&A. No, but first, we take a short break and we have to read some hadith. How can we go a whole day like this without reading some hadith? We should have read the hadith earlier. But I would have, if I was South Africa, all of you leave now. No, don't leave. You're going to get killed, right? Some extreme insanity, right? And it's got to be public for the whole world to see. Then the idea of them go back to America, let the Americans feel like heroes. All right, good. You achieved what we wanted. Get them out of the country. I wonder what the position on this would be in the Sharia before we advocate something like that. Let's take a break here. We got 3 segments to go. We're going to read 1 hadith or 2. Then we're going to take Q&A. Then we're going to make dua for Wednesday. عن عبد الله بن عباس قال أقبلت راكبا على حمار أتان وأنا يومئذ قد ناهزت الاحتلام ورسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم يصلي بمنى إلى غير جدار فمررت بين يدي بعض الصف وأرسلت الأتان ترتع فدخلت في الصف فلم ينكر ذلك علي. This is a hadith that shows that young boys, when they cut between the rows, it's acceptable. It's a little boy, youth, and he needs to get from point A to point B and needs to go between the rows of people praying. It's acceptable. عن حمزة بن عبد الله بن عمر أن ابن عمر قال سمعت رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم قال بين أنا نائم أتيت بقدح لبن فشربت حتى إني لأرى الري يخرج في أظفاري ثم أعطيت فضلي عمر بن الخطاب فما أولته يا رسول الله قال العلم. Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, while I was asleep, in a dream somebody gave me a bowl of milk. I drank from it until the milk was even coming out of my fingernails. Then I gave the rest to Umar. They said, what did you interpret that as, O Messenger of God? He said, knowledge. Umar ibn Khattab, that's knowledge of the religion. عن فاطمة عن أسماء قالت أتيت عائشة وهي تصلي. I came to Aisha while she was praying. I said, ما شأن الناس? What is wrong with the people? Everyone's praying. She pointed to the sky. Okay. Subhanallah, I said. آية فأشارت برأسها. أي نعم. She said yes with her head while she's praying. قمت حتى تجلاني الغشي فجعلت is eclipse, by the way. She almost fainted, so she started pouring water on her head. فحمد الله عز وجل النبي, the Prophet, peace be upon him, then praised Allah after this prayer, and he says, ما من شيء لم أكن أريته إلا رأيته في مقامي حتى الجنة والنار. He said, I've seen things in this while standing in this prayer, even paradise and hell. It has been revealed to me. أنكم تفتنون في قبوركم. You will be tested in your graves. It has been revealed to me that you'll be tested in your graves. Just like the fitna of Masih al-Dajjal. It will be such a severe test, just like fitnat al-Masih al-Dajjal. A person will be told, ما علمك بهذا الرجل? What do you say about this man? And meaning himself. Sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. فأما المؤمن, as for the believer, أو الموقن, the believer says, هو Muhammad Rasulullah. He is Muhammad, the Master of Allah. He came to us with the guidance and with clear signs. We followed him and believed in him. فيقال نم صالحة. Now you can rest. قد علمنا إن كنت لموقنا به. Now we know that you truly believed. You passed the test of life. As for the hypocrite, he says, no, I don't know. لا أدري. سمعت الناس يقولون شيئا فقلته. I don't know. I heard people saying something, so I said it too. See that? That's one of the evidences that you must have firm belief in Allah and His Messenger on your own, not related to imitation of people. وعن عقبة بن الحارث أنه تزوج ابنة لأبي إيهاب فقالت إني قد أرضعت عقبة والتي تزوج فقال عقبة ما أعلم أنك أرضعتني ولا أخبرتني فركب إلى رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم بالمدينة فسأله فقال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم كيف وقد قيل ففارقها عقبة ونكحت زوجا غيره. This is a story about the fact that if people under the age of 2 or at or less than 2 drink the milk of the same woman, then they can never be married. They are siblings, meaning that you are under the age of 2 and someone else is under the age of 2. And it doesn't have to be at the same time. It could obviously be 2-3 years later. But 2 or under, drink one gulp of milk, just one gulp, from the same woman, you are now siblings. We call this milk siblings. Cannot marry. That's the end of this segment. Let's take another segment. People asking about ruqya. People ask about other things. Listen, I have something to say, and I hope that Waqas can clip this. Little comment for people. On this program, we take Q&As on all subjects. Some subjects, they're minor. Some are major. Some are very important. Some are unimportant. Don't come and say, I can't believe you're talking about this subject when people are getting slaughtered in Gaza. This is the biggest, dumbest cop-out statement that makes that's so annoying when you hear someone say it. Let me ask you a question. Are you telling me you didn't watch NBA highlights? Playoff highlights? Are you telling me you didn't watch World Cup or whatever soccer is going on if you're in England since this war has started? Are you telling me you haven't gotten out with your friends to eat since this war has started? Why are you then picking on QAs and coming and saying, oh, I can't believe you're talking about wiping the face over in dua? We take all QAs, let me just tell you right now. And we'll take more minor QAs. Nothing in the deen is minor. We take all QAs, but for some people to do this ridiculous comment and say, I can't believe this is the subject matter when there's a war in Gaza. Okay, tell me then what have you done? Like, what's your alternative? What have you done? So the answer is that there's a lot of things that everyone has to do, including you, which are far less important, by the way, than any matter of religion that you, in your mind, is deeming minor. Right? So this comment is ridiculous that people make. Here's another one. Is eating with the left hand makruh or haram? Then there's going to be a clip called eating with the left hand. Is it halal or haram? And someone's going to say, oh my gosh, there's a genocide going on in Gaza. Open QAs for everyone. And by the way, this open QA is probably far more meaningful than anything that you've done for the last 5 years of your life. Because this is deen. Regardless. Right? And you're going to get some kid who has a phone and they make these ridiculous comments. Eating with your left hand is makruh. As for the man whose hand became paralyzed, that's because he disobeyed the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. When the Prophet said, eat with your right hand, he said, I can't. He said, eat with your right hand. He said, I can't. Because he was lying to the Prophet, peace be upon him, and disobeying him directly. So the Prophet said, may you never eat with your left hand. Right? Then it became paralyzed. Because he disobeyed the Prophet, lied to him right to his face. Can we eat the rennet in trees? Yes. Is traveling for vacation with family classed as charity? Yes, everything you give to your family is charity, even if it's something enjoyable like a vacation. Could you please discuss in depth with permissible forms of artwork? Basically, in the Maliki madhab, there are two conditions for something to be forbidden, which is it can survive, it can fully survive the way it is, and it has a shadow. That means it's three-dimensional. And it can survive. So a bust, other than that, is just discouraged. If it only has one of the two, it's just discouraged. And if it has neither of the two, it's halal. So the drawing of half of a human being, because if you were to cut a person here, he'd die, right? Or the drawing of a lion's head, halal. If you sculpt a lion's head, makruh. Sculpt a human's head, makruh. Can you believe what's happening with the Knicks? Oh, man. No, I couldn't believe it, to be honest with you. And on top of that, the Celtic dynasty seemed like it's coming to an end. It's a dynasty that never was, it looks like. I'm sorry to say, I hate to say this because I have some Celtic fans, friends of mine. But it's the dynasty that never happened. I think that's what it's going to be. Because now Tatum's going to be out for a couple months now, into next season. Kristaps he's so sick. Who knows what's going on with him. Drew fell off a cliff. Who's left? White. And Jalen, although he's a Muslim brother, but he doesn't come up big, I'm sorry to say. Name me, well, he did last year. He came up big last year. We have to say the truth about that, but I don't think he can carry. Like, come up big, I think the level of carry. You need to carry this team to win Game 5. And Bob Precision is saying, yeah, because they bored us to heck because their philosophy is just chuck up threes. Go down, chuck up a three. Well, the Knicks don't play like that. I don't think they have the talent to play like that. They have to go in and earn their 2 points. Ruqya, we already talked about Ruqya, and we have a video on Ruqya, and we broke it down very clearly on Ruqya. And Ruqya, again, you have people who just see one or two things and run with it without tafsil. You have to make tafsil. And we make the tafsil there, and it shows, and it's in the video there. So just go to that video and watch it there. Is the income of a boxer unlawful? The answer is yes. You know, the hadith of not hitting the face comes regarding war against a kafir. War against a kafir. So imagine now if it's unlawful in war. That means if I have a chance right now, I can kill you or I can slice your face and torture you first, then kill you. If I slice your face and torture you, I get sins for that. And you're a combatant trying to kill me. We're not allowed to do that. So now, how are we going to do that in for fun? They say, well, the other guys consented. Okay, does consent override the Sharia? So in that case, zina should be halal then. If consent is all we care about, then two people consenting won't be zina? No, it doesn't make a difference if two people are consenting or not. Consent doesn't override God's prohibitions. So that you consented for me to hit you in the face does not mean I can hit you in the face. Who is a Siddiq? A Siddiq is a wali. In the ayah of the Quran, you have prophets and Siddiqs and martyrs and righteous people. The Muslims are divided into four. Of course, one of them is prophets and messengers. They're out of the realm of what we call kasbi. There's something called wahbi and kasbi. Wahbi means only God gives it. Kasbi means you can earn it. The kasbi ranks in Islam are three. You can be a regular salih. That means he avoids his prohibitions and he fulfills his obligations. That's the public perception of the guy. And privately, yes, of course, he's going to commit sins, make tawbah. Hopefully the sin never comes out in the open. So at least he has enough piety to hide his sins. That's what we call salih. That means, what's his reputation? Is he a good reputation? Yes, his good reputation. So he has enough taqwa, fear of God, to keep his sins in private. Number two, you have the martyr. And the martyrs divvy up. There's the martyr. There's three kinds of martyrs. The martyr of this world, the martyr of the next world, the martyr of this world and the next world. The martyr of this world is somebody who dies in a war. Regardless whether it was Islamic war or not, we call him a martyr in this world because we will bury him like a martyr. The rules of martyrdom in terms of burial, he did not be washed and shrouded. He would just be buried as is, with his uniform, just like that. But we don't know what was in his heart, and if this war was valid or not, then he may not be a martyr of the next world. So, but in this world, we treat him like a martyr. Then there's the martyr of the next world, but not this world. Who is that? The person who dies for this. That now divides into two categories. The first one is the person who dies for the sake of God, meaning he spent his whole life, he gave his whole life to God. All his life is da'wah. All his life is khidmah. All his life is for the soup kitchen. All his life is for da'wah. All his life is for charity. All his life is for ta'aleem, tahfidh, etc. Such a person who dies, that would be counted as a martyr. But only a martyr of the next life. In this life, we don't know if he's a martyr or not. We'll bury him normally, like a regular person. The second category is the martyr of the disaster. The one who his death occurred in such a difficult way, such as drowning, being burned alive, internal organ failure and difficult deaths on the inside of your body, being shot and killed protecting your wealth or your home or something like that. A building collapsing on you, by analogy, car crashes. Imam an-Nawawi says this here, it's a category of someone who dies a very vicious and difficult death. So that person counts as a martyr. But of course we bury him normally. So that's the two categories now of the martyrs of this world. Of the next world. Then you have the martyr of this world and the next world, and that's the person who dies in a legitimate, valid, halal, and rewardable battle to raise the flag of the truth, raise the flag of La ilaha illallah. That's the person who is going to be the martyr of this world and the next world. So we've now divided up into three, the middle category divided into two. Does that answer the question? These are the types of martyrs. A Brave Stick says, quick question. If you know how there's 4 sunnah salah before dhuhr prayer, are we allowed to combine them or must pray separately in twos? For the Hanafis, I think you can pray them 4, right, Omar? The sunnah is to pray them 4 in a row. In the Maliki madhab, they're not sunnah in the first place, they're just nawafil. And you pray them 2 at a time, and it's unlimited, 2, 4, 6, 8. It's just, you pray them to prepare for salah or waiting for the imam. They're nawafil in the Maliki madhab. The rak'ats before or after dhuhr are nawafil. Likewise, before asr, nafila, if you're waiting for the imam. After maghrib, nafila, as much as you want to do. You could do 0 or 2 or up to isha, do nawafil. It's nafila. After isha is nafila. Nafila is one rung down than sunnah. How do I stop thinking or worrying about a trial or problem befalling you? You go on the attack. Attack. It's the best way, the best ruqya for yourself, and you want to make yourself feel better about things. You got a problem? Attack your problem. Attack. Offense is the best defense. Is it halal to say Khuda Hafiz? Well, Khuda is just God, right? It literally is the same letters. It's because this is like the Aryan language family, right? But Khuda and God from the same origin, right? Khuda is not an idol, correct, Omar? It's God. It means God. So therefore, in the same way as God willing, you could say, or may God protect you, you could say Khuda Hafiz. I had a guy once, an Arab guy, convinced Khuda is another God. I said, why is this so hard? Why is it so hard for you to believe that it means God when in the English it literally is the same letters, right? some people, huh? Ajib. You hear that? He says in Fiqh al-Akbar, Abu Hanifa uses that as an example. Now, the thing is that some people, their religiosity is to try to show that you're a mushrik and you never knew it. That's literally some people's religiosity is like that. And the religiosity is somehow to show that you should break bonds and never go to this masjid again or never go to listen to that person ever again because they're pagans and innovators. And that's the religion that they got. So this is Kharijism, essentially. Okay? Treating people as innovators and kafirs when they're not. Kharijism is theological and political. Political, it's rebels. It's the rebel. And it's not all rebels, too. Rebels for the sake of worldliness with no valid justification. And theologically, it's somebody who puts someone into the realm of kufr without reason, without a just reason. When can we say a Muslim is no longer a Muslim? And we'll say it. We will say that. But when? You have 3 simple things to observe. And the logic is, you exit Islam how you entered it. The opposite of how you entered it. You entered it on 3 things. La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah, and the commonly known definition of Islam. What we call al-ma'lum min ad-din bil-darura. That which is known in religion by necessity. That's because you're entering Islam, you do know certain things about Islam. What's known in religion by necessity. Any 10-year-old boy knows these things. So when a person reverses on that, rejects anything known in religion by necessity, or rejects God and His Prophet, or attributes attributes of godliness and divinity to other than Allah, or prophethood to other than Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, anyone after Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, we can clearly say this person is a zindiq. He's a non-believer saying he's a Muslim, but he's a non-believer. We won't let him in Mecca and Medina. Marriage is nullified on the spot. Inheritance from him is invalidated. And he's not going to be buried in the Muslim graveyard. Qadianis today can't go to Mecca and Medina. Your Pakistani has Qadiani, Ahmadi in your passport, they won't let you into Mecca and Medina because you're a zindiq. So we're not against takfir and zandaqa, but in its place, what the Khawarij do, they come into Ahl Sunnah and they start carving it up. And it's that the revival of khuruj, theological khuruj, was Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab. There is no discussion and no debate on this subject. Not only that, he killed people. As you're going to see in our recent, upcoming, soon-to-be-released interview with Sheikh Yasir Qadi on his new book on Salafism, he speaks at length on the theological Kharijism of Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab, with one caveat, is that the Kharijites made takfir of you if you committed a major sin. But Muhammad ibn Wahhab's Kharijism is different. He expanded the definition of kafir. I personally probably think that that's worse, because at least the Kharijites are admitting to the correct categories. This is a sin, this is kufr. But they're pushing you out of Islam on what they admit is a major sin. But Ibn Abdul Wahhab, he's confusing all the categories. He's making a kafir somebody who is not a kafir at all. And he's saying this is a religious matter when it's not a theological matter, when it's a legal matter. So the traditional Kharijites, I mean, we can't even do that right in the modern era. The traditional Kharijites recognize the categories. But Ibn Abdul Wahhab, he innovated something totally new. He just basically, he expanded the category of what is theological disbelief and kufr. He expanded it. And so, as we're going to show in that interview that Yasir Qadi mentions, Muhammad ibn Wahhab had people murdered in Najd for not believing in Tawheed the way he did. He is literally almost the Martin Luther of Islam, except Martin Luther didn't kill people. He just nailed 95 points on the church door and called it a day. But this guy killed people. He says, Martin Luther came and said, you know what, everyone got Christianity wrong. It's all wrong. And I got it right. Muhammad Wahhab also said no one understood Tawheed before me. Like everyone before him. And the one who is applying Wahhabism today is a Syrian. I don't know if he lives in Germany or not, but his name is Muhammad Shamsuddin. And this is the guy who is literally applying Wahhabism today. And he's got Suyutis out of Islam. Out of Islam. Yeah, he has poetry about this. Suyuti is out of Islam. Ibn Hajar and Nawawi, I think, are either innovators or out of Islam.
Maybe you're the joke when you're saying that.
Huh? Yeah, I know.
It's like you're the joke.
Yeah, at that point, I mean, at some point, what nerve are you actually like delusional? They're all of them are out of Islam and you're in Islam. Okay, so everyone is out of Islam for this guy. So if you're going to follow a religion, when I say religion, I mean like a teaching in Islam. If your sanad goes back to Muhammad Abdul Wahhab, go get yourself another teacher. Cut that sanad completely because you will end up a takfiri. Takfiri in the wrong. I don't mind making takfir in the right. Perennialism, Qadianism, all that's kufr. There's a guy who's out there who's trying to revive perennialism, said we don't understand perennialism. Let me ask a simple question. Does perennialism require belief in the Messenger Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam? Yes or no? And where is the book of perennialism in the first place?
You can't access it.
Where, yeah, if it's a theology and a school of theology, like if you ask where does the Maturidi book, we can give you a couple Maturidi books, right? What is the Ash'ari book? I can give you within 5 seconds 10 PDFs that represent Ash'ari Creed, and they don't contradict each other, right? They're saying the same thing. Hanbali Aqidah. I can give you not as many as fast because I'm not so fully versed in the Hanbali school, but I can contact Sheikh Noor, I can contact Sheikh Naveed, I can contact Sheikh Rashid, I can contact Dr. Ahmed, I can contact John Starling. Hey, give me 3 PDFs in Hanbali Aqidah. And boom, I know what they're saying. So what is the book of perennialism? Is it Fritjof Schwann's collected writings? If so, he's not even admitting at the end of his life that it's Islam. He's admitting it's not Islam. If you want the podcast version on Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab, easy to listen to, go to Bro Haji. He himself is an Athari. I don't know what elements he has of Wahhabi creed outside of the takfir, but he's not a takfiri for sure. And he literally just says the man is almost like he's just a mass murderer. That's what he says himself. And he went deep into the thing. You know me. At the moment I find one line of code that's kufr, I just toss the whole thing in the garbage. I'm not going to go and do line by line assessment of something we all know is wrong, right? Go into his 45 video playlist. The Ummah needs to be protected from this heresy. It's a heresy, no different than liberalism is a heresy. And if it wasn't being given gas recently, over the past few years, it wouldn't need to be, mentioned. But now I think people are realizing it. That wave is coming down because it's just the evidence is too clear that the man is a killer and a murderer, and he acts upon it. And if you are on his aqidah, you do believe that you should act upon it. So therefore, you should be supporting ISIS. They're the ones who are acting upon it. You should be supporting Muhammad Shamsuddin and takfiring the entire nation. And at that point, don't step into our mosque. Sometimes I see people who are in the middle. They're kind of taking from Muhammad Abdul Wahhab, yet simultaneously not fully going all the way to saying that you are kafirs and innovators. If that's the case, why are you praying in our masajid? I see one time a guy comes in with a stern face. He's so angry with everybody. Why are you praying with us if you think we're so bad? Literally, I'll never go pray in a Shia mosque and they won't pray with us. I actually have no problem sort of interacting with them in a sense because there is a better line between us and them than with some of these cats. They don't come and try to pray with us and then tell the kid, hey, Muawiyah's no good. They don't try to do this stuff, right? They just don't ever come to our mosques and we don't go to their mosques. As a result of that, we could actually probably have some kind of civil existence. But for these guys, if you are upon the aqeedah of Muhammad Abdul Wahhab, and we're all a bunch of innovators and mushriks, why are you praying with us? Go open your own masjid and list it as a Wahhabi sect. Actually, probably we can maybe coexist at that point, right? We could probably maybe coexist at that point. Just pray in your own masajid. And don't come and advertise to us. And just announce the madhab is the madhab of the Wahhabiyya. That's our madhab. Wahhab. The term Wahhabi comes from them. They called themselves the Wahhabiyyin. This is also something that is in the interview with Yasir Qadi. Yeah, talk about the Arabic. Why don't we pray in Shia Mosque? Any school of thought whose theology exits the bounds of qat'i, explicit evidence, then we don't pray in it. As Allah says, لا تقم فيه أبدا. Never set foot in it. لمسجد أسس على التقوى أحق أن تقوم فيه. So therefore, if you were to pray there, by yourself, it would be valid, but sinful to have done that. If you were to have to pray behind their imam, I don't know if their wudu is valid because they wipe the foot, they don't wash the foot, so their wudu is not valid, therefore the salah is not valid. But in general, we don't pray in masajid of different sects. Yes, go ahead. Tell us about the het.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. So as you guys can see on the screen, just 1 second. Inshallah, we're going to have a 2025 Summer Arabic Intensive at Darul Fath here in New Jersey. So all the program information is on the website, which I am sending in the chat right now. It's going to be pinned as well. Last year, the intensive was a huge success. There was a lot of good feedback and a lot of benefit. The students benefited immensely. So if you guys are able to come out, inshallah, you can see the information as I mentioned in the link. The days are Monday, Wednesday, Sunday, Saturday. It's an intensive. It's 8 weeks from June 5th until July 31st. There are multiple levels. So it's a comprehensive study of the Arabic language and its skills, meant for all beginner and intermediate students. If you guys have any questions, inshallah, feel free to ask. And if you're in the intensive, you can come to the streams as well. Come hang out with us. We have a lot of different activities during the summer, different classes. So yeah, inshallah, that's the Arabic intensive. Sign up, don't miss out.
All right, Edif, read me a question. I think we should actually take one more question and then we'll...
Is the income of a wedding photographer halal? What if it includes attending the wedding or non-Muslim and the jobs to take photographs of the bride or groom, etc.?
The income of a wedding, is it halal? A wedding photographer, it depends. Is it a gay wedding? It's 2025, right? No. Is the photography of excessive sinfulness? And then that's a problem, yeah, for sure. That's going to be a problem.
Do you want to do quick fire questions?
Quick fire, yeah.
Do a lot of questions.
Yes, quick fire.
Seems like people love the topic of Trump and Israel and stuff.
Yeah, me too. I'm so happy to see it.
All right, so let me see. A lot of questions. Family member surgery went wrong and now has to live with the life-altering side effects. Feels totally defeated as there's no solution and it was irreversible. How can I help him mentally live with it?
La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. I think the best way to live with this is to sue the lights out of that doctor, make a whole bunch of money. That's your dia. Why? Because Sharia recognizes bad things can be ameliorated with dia, which is money. Doctor did the surgery, went way off. All right, listen, I don't want to ruin your life, but I need something. You ruined mine. I have to sue you. Let's settle out of court. Let me not sue you. I would tell the doctor, listen, I'm not going to, I don't want to ruin your life either. If it's an honest mistake, I don't want to ruin your life. I'm not going to name you in court. Come to my house and bring your checkbook. You're going to write me a dia check right now. Otherwise, I will sue you for far more money, and your insurance will go so through the roof. You may not be able to practice anymore, and the hospital may not want you. Come to my house, like, with adab, and bring your checkbook. No, I'm not going to take a payment plan. You might not pay in the future. I don't know. Come up with the money. You pay me one big fat check right now, and this whole thing will go away. Next.
Is asking saints for prayers allowed in Islam?
Can you repeat that?
Someone's asking, is asking saints for prayers allowed in Islam?
Firstly, we don't have saints. We have awliya. I don't know what a saint is. It has too much of a
Christian
Christian connotation. I'm not a friend with that. I'm not a fan of that term. We have awliya Allah. And in the different madhabs, they differ upon whether or not you can speak to any dead person and ask them to make dua for you. The very least is that I think it is agreed upon that the dead can hear you, because the Prophet ﷺ said that. But whether or not can they make dua for you, Allah knows best. But some said yes, they can make dua for you. Others said we don't know for sure that they can make dua for you. In either way, there's no harm in asking. That's my take on it. Like, what am I going to lose? Right? What am I losing? I ask living people to make dua for me, and they don't. Most people don't. You know how many people? Oh, I'm going to Umrah. Okay, make dua for me. How can I remember 50,000 people telling me to make dua for them? Oh Allah, I pray for everybody who asked me to make dua for them. So living people, there's no guarantee. You ask them to make dua for you, there's no guarantee, right? So to have a guarantee is not a precondition to ask somebody to make dua. So I would say, in the matter of at-tawassul, which is asking someone to make dua for you, whether that person is dead or alive, it doesn't harm you. It's not going to harm you.
Someone's asking, is feminism close to heresy?
In feminism, I don't know if what are the theological elements in feminism. I think it does destroy a person's life, right? It does destroy a person's life if you put your priorities. And anybody who puts their career ahead of their family life, you're going to ruin your life, male or female, but especially female. And I think that you should not put your career ahead of your life. And you shouldn't just try to, whatever guys are doing, let me just imitate that in the name of women's rights. If guys are sports broadcasters, we need a female sports broadcasters. If guys are doing whatever, we got to do that. That logic has got to be broken. A Muslim shouldn't have that logic. But theological statements within feminism, you got to bring me something crisp, and then we can say if it's heresy or not.
Right. Are those hoodies for sale?
These hoodies, no, they're not on sale. It's over. There's a new product coming out now, and it's go to safinasociety.shop, Omar. We have a new drop coming, and I'll give you. Actually, you know what? No, yeah, I guess go in it. We'll announce it. Go to safinasociety.shop and check out. All of this is going to charity. What charity? Umrah for youth. Look at how awesome is this shirt. Yeah. There's a lot of people who take the dash out of the A, but it looks even way better on Safina than anybody else, right? Where is the Fulus going, folks? Umrah for youth. Elif has been on one or two Umrah for youths, right?
Yes.
One or two? Well, one, two, and Yemen. Yemen trip was insane. This Yemen trip was just out of this world. This last Yemen trip. There's so oozing blessings the whole time. It was like one of those trips that was like hardly prepared. I don't think until there was no like official preparation for it. I loved it.
I literally booked my flight 8 hours before I went.
Wow.
I wasn't even gonna go. I was like, all right, like thing just happened.
Next question.
Next question. Where were we? Oh man. Someone was asking. I might have to accidentally skip some of you guys. Sorry. It's a lot of questions. How does Safina Society view Wahdat al-Wujud?
We view it as Wahdat al-Shuhud. It should be Wahdat al-Shuhud, recognizing that everything is from Allah.
Okay. How do we respond to someone who establishes hawadith in the dhat of Allah?
A'udhu billah. Not allowed.
Will you do a podcast with Muhammad Hijab?
I would. Why not?
Tell him, invite him.
Let's invite him.
Tell him, come on. I'm studying engineering, but I really want to switch to dentistry. Which profession is better Islamically? That's fantastic.
Dentistry or engineering? Both.
Maybe he's concerned about the companies behind the engineering firms.
That's a good point. Yeah, you shouldn't work in a company that makes exclusively like weaponry.
Would that be a subcategory flip?
It's tip for sure.
Like in traditional movie, say that.
Yeah, 100% tip.
It's like very honorable. So
Yeah.
It's like one of the best professions. So. Who are so Nathaniel is asking, who are some awliya in Islam that I can look up?
Abdul Qadir al-Jailani, Abu Madyan al-Ghawth, Abu al-Hasan al-Shadhili, and then Imam al-Haddad, and then you have Mu'aynuddin al-Chishti.
Oh, Ghazali's
Imam al-Ghazali as a book, yeah, for his books and his biography.
Okay.
Are my daughter's milk brothers mahram to me? Yes, they are. They are your daughter's milk brothers. That's your daughter's half brother is mahram to you, for sure.
So I'm saying, is the movie The Message permissible to watch? I know it's a random question, but what's the overall ruling on watching movies about Islam?
Movies about Islam is permissible to watch if the content is halal in it, if they're portraying Islam properly. As for the issue of portraying Sahaba, that's haram to portray Sahaba. So, but it's haram based on opinion. Therefore, others have deemed it halal, obviously, or makruh. So therefore, it would not be the same prohibition as other things, like let's say female aura or male aura. So it's a prohibition with discussion, and we can't put them both at the same level. Next.
If someone is expressly trying to destroy your business, is it halal to compete with them in an equal way to destroy theirs?
Yes, because it's war. Yeah.
A group collecting action figures and having posters of superheroes, etc., but recently found out these are haram and angels won't enter the house. I want to get rid of them. Is it halal to sell them?
No, this doesn't apply to children. Doesn't apply to children.
Is it halal to sell them?
Yes, it's halal because their children's toys are halal to be. They can be.
It's milk.
Huh?
It's milk.
Yeah.
It's mal. Let's see. Is learning Farsi useful for Islamic studies?
لا أدري.
If you're
But I don't
Hanafi
think so.
For research, it is. There's a lot of like primary source material in Farsi, but that's more specialized. So definitely focus on Arabic. That's just my 2 cents. So is wearing jeans halal?
Next question. One more question and then we go to the dua.
Okay, come on, guys. We need some banger questions. All the questions are.
Is that person asking that alone?
Where's the lone one?
Like scrolling. Oh, wait.
Do Malikis recite the Fatiha behind the Imam?
No. I mean, if the Imam is reciting, we stay silent. We listen.
We already answered.
Our ibadah is at that point is to listen.
Okay, this question. What steps can one take wanting to come clean after lying to people, loved ones, about a certain thing for years, career related?
You shouldn't lie to get a job.
Yeah, I have a mic. Sorry, is it low? Ooh, I think my mic is low. It's probably better now, right? All right, thanks for pointing that out. A man wasn't able to confirm whether the leather in his wallet Ted Baker, London was halal or not. Initially, he looked and didn't find leather, but turns out there was. Must he remake those prayers?
No, he doesn't have to remake those prayers. And on top of that, the modern muftis of the Maliki madhab, they said all leathers today are mixed in the world. So the idea that, and as he's referring to the Maliki subject, that ruling that when we pray with leather, we can use any leather, but when we pray with it, it needs to be dhabiha leather. But the Maliki scholars of today, they say that the leathers today are all mixed in the world. No one knows what's what. Unlike back in the day, when it was a meta, you saw that this is like a dead animal, then you made use of its leather, but you can't pray with it. Then they say that it doesn't apply today anymore. They say all the leathers are mixed.
Someone's asking, will a woman be married to her abusive husband in Jannah?
Well, he'll be purified. If he makes it to Jannah, then won't Allah purify him? Will Allah keep those characteristics in him in Jannah? Of course not. So he'll be purified first. In fact, you may sympathize with him to see how bad he gets purified. When people get purified, it's not fun. It's a thing that we should never want to see someone be purified in the next life. If you're purified in this life, it's bad. Tawbah is the best thing. Just do it yourself. That's the best thing. Tawbah and Hajj and good deeds. But for someone to be purified without any of that, that's like cancer and terrible things. You don't want that. Last question.
Well, someone's been asking this for a little while. So, can a Uyghur living in diaspora work as a tour guide for Chinese tourists while China is systematically persecuting the Uyghurs at their home country and eradicating Islam from them?
You can serve the Chinese people in business and trade. That doesn't necessarily mean you support the Chinese government. AZ Dark Sonal, go to the video in which we talk about ruqya. No, that ayah or that hadith is interpreted, the hadith that ruqya 70,000 will enter paradise who don't do ruqya. It means they don't do ruqya incorrectly.
So, someone's asking, what are some good books on Maturidi theology for a philosophy student?
لا أدري.
Definitely Al-Bidayah fi Usul-ud-Din, the translation.
Tiftazani, right? All of Tiftazani's books.
He's not Maturidi.
Isn't
he's
he
not
Maturidi?
Maturidi. No, I don't think you can't really say he's Maturidi.
Really?
No, yeah.
After all this time?
But I would say that we used to read from, I think, Al-Bidayah fi Usul-ud-Din, the translation. Search up an introduction to Islamic theology, translated by Sheikh Faraz Khan. It's very good. It's very good. It's a translation of a classical Maturidi text. In Arabic, there are a lot, but like that's for English. It's a well done book. It's called Al-Bidayah fi Usul-ud-Din. It's a red cover.
It's the Zaytun one, right?
Yeah, the Zaytuna one. It's really good. So I would say that. We have it right here, I think. Where is it? Probably some shelf.
All right, folks. Time is up.
Wednesday dua.
Wednesday dua.
Someone said, yeah, this last thing.
What's the last one?
Someone said, I thought Taftazani is Maturidi.
Yeah, I thought he was too.
He has a sharh on his sharh. It's on a Maturidi text, but when you look at his own opinions, it's not fair to call him a Maturidi.
Fair enough.
This is the discussion.
Okay. بسم الله لا إله إلا الله الملك الحق المبين 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 بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إنا فتحنا لك فتحا مبينا ليغفر لك الله ما تقدم من ذنبك وما تأخر ويتم نعمتك عليه ويهديك صراطا مستقيما وينصرك الله نصرا عزيزا وكان عند الله وجيها وجيها في الدنيا والآخرة ومن المقربين وجهت وجهي للذي فطر السماوات والأرض بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم نصر من الله وفتح قريب بشر المؤمنين يا أيها الذين آمنوا كونوا أنصار الله كما قال عيسى بن مريم الحواريين من أنصاري إلى الله قال الحواريون نحن أنصار الله الله لا إله إلا هو الحي القيوم لا تأخذه سنة ولا نوم له ما في السماوات وما في الأرض من ذا الذي يشفع عنده إلا بإذنه يعلم ما بين أيديهم وما خلفهم ولا يحيطون بشيء من علمه إلا بما شاء وسع كرسي السماوات والأرض ولا يؤود حفظهما وهو العلي العظيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم لو أنزلنا هذا القرآن على جبل لرأيته خاشعا متصدعا من خشية الله وتلك الأمثال نضربها للناس لعلهم يتفكرون هو الله الذي لا إله إلا هو عالم الغيب والشهادة هو الرحمن الرحيم هو الله الذي لا إله إلا هو الملك القدوس السلام المؤمن المهيمن العزيز الجبار المتكبر سبحان الله عما يشركون هو الله الخالق البارئ المصور له الأسماء الحسنى يسبح له ما في السماوات والأرض وهو العزيز الحكيم أعوذ نفسي بالله تعالى من كل ما يسمع بأذنين ويبصر بعينين ويمشي برجلين ويبطش بيدين ويتكلم بشفتين حصنت نفسي بالله الخالق الأكبر من شر ما أخاف وأحذر من الجن والإنس ويحذرون حز جار وجل ثناؤه وتقدست أسماؤه ولا إله غيره اللهم إني أجعلك في نور أعدائي وأعوذ بك من شرورهم وتحيلهم ومكرهم ومكائدهم أطفئ النار من أراد بعداوة من الجن والإنس يا حافظ يا حفيظ يا كافي يا محيط سبحانك يا رب ما أعظم شأنك وعز سلطانك تحسنت بالله باسماء الله بآيات الله ملائكة الله وأنبياء الله ورسل الله والصالحين من عباد الله حصنت نفسي بلا إله إلا الله محمد رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم اللهم احرسني بعينك التي لا تنام واكنفني بكنفك الذي لا يرام وارحمني بقدرتك علي فلا أهلك وأنت ثقتي ورجائي يا غياث المستغيثين يا غياث المستغيثين يا غياث المستغيثين يا دارك الهالكين يا دارك الهالكين يا دارك الهالكين اكفني شر كل طارق يطرق بليل أو نهار إلا طارق يطرق بخير إنك لكل شيء قدير بسم الله أرقي نفسي من كل ما يؤذي ومن كل حاسد الله شفائي بسم الله رقيت اللهم رب الناس أذهب الباس اشفي أنت الشافي وعافي أنت المعافي لا شفاء إلا شفاؤك شفاء لا يغادر سقما ولا ألما يا كافي يا وافي يا حميد يا مجيد ارفع عني كل تعب شديد واكفني من الحد والحديد والمرض الشديد والجيش العديد واجعل لي نور من نورك وعز من عزك ونصر من نصرك وبهاء من بهائك وعطاء من عطائك وحراسة من حراستك وتأييد من تأييدك يا ذا الجلال والإكرام والمواهب العظام أسألك أن تكفيني من شر كل ذي شر إنك أنت الله الخالق الأكبر وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم تسليما كثيرا طيبا مباركا فيه والحمد لله رب العالمين ظاهرا وباطنا وعلى كل حال يا أرحم الراحمين. Take 2 minutes for dua. بسم الله. وصلى الله وبارك على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين.